The world's richest man, and now the leader of the government overhaul in Washington.
If you have a pulse in 2 neurons, you can reply to an email.
Despite his new role, Elon Musk is no stranger to D.C. Over the last decade plus, cutting deals with the government to the tune of $20 billion for SpaceX alone, according to FedScout.
2, 1, ignition.
Contracts to put spy satellites in orbit, Starlink's internet for Ukraine's attack drones, and more. Not to mention huge credits for Tesla, the company reporting $10 billion in sales of environmental credits, incentives from federal and state governments since 2015. Musk making so many deals, the Washington Post reporting that back in 2016, tech billionaire Jeff Bezos told his employees at competing space company Blue Origin, quote, Elon's real superpower is getting government money. Now his role as a special government employee in face of the Department of Government Efficiency, raising a big question of just how far his conflicts of interest can go when Musk has one foot in big business and the other in the White House, basically every day. The message from the president.
If there's a conflict, you won't be involved. Yeah.
Strict federal rules basically block government workers from getting financially involved in any kind of private interest and require lots of disclosure. But so far, it's unclear if there are any restrictions on Musk. But mixing business and government goes back literally centuries in the U.S., with some scandals more corrupt than others, like lawmakers who owned slaves and plantations, pushing their personal interests in the Civil War era. Not to mention the private contractors manufacturing poorly made guns and ammunition, cashing in on the Union Army, and hurting soldiers. Lawmakers and Vice President Colfax made up a phony construction company to build a railroad spanning more than 20 states, defrauding a whopping $44 million from the U.S. government in the 1860s. In the Truman era, workers, including an aide to the then president, charged a 5% rate for helping clients secure any contracts with the government. These scandals, and many more like them, leading to new laws and reforms over the decades. But laws can be broken. Like U.S. Senator Bob Menendez, recently sentenced to 11 years in prison for accepting bribes, including cash, gold bars, and a Mercedes-Benz in exchange for favors for Egypt. But of course, money's role in politics can be a little less obvious and in many ways is built into our system.
We made mistakes, which we're learning from.
Like the federal bailout of the car industry in the middle of the Great Recession. Open Secrets, a government transparency nonprofit, revealed the extent to which campaign contributions can influence policy legally. Democratic lawmakers who approved the massive bailout banked 44% more in contributions from the auto industry than those who voted against it.
There's so much money in the system that it creates this, cross point where that conflict is there. And it's hard to see it while it's happening.
The New York Times found nearly 20% of lawmakers in the House of Representatives in 2022 on both sides of the aisle were buying and trading stocks of companies directly involved in their work on Capitol Hill. And as long as they aren't using non-public information, this isn't illegal. With tons of traders online trying to copy lawmakers' moves on Wall Street, who often beat the market. Open Secrets also reporting that federal lobbying setting a record at $4.4 billion in spending just last year. Those deals usually happening behind closed doors. But what is public are the tens of billions in government contracts doled out to major defense and pharma companies. What Musk's companies get, just a fraction of the overall picture. And it's not just money moves, it's people moves as well. It's called the revolving door of workers and industry bigwigs going from corporate America into government roles and then back into the private sector. Par the course in Washington. So-called revolvers making up 20% of the last Bush administration, 17% of Obama's, and 10% of President Trump's first term. Notably, Biden's the lowest of any recent administration at only 2%.
And what you see now is things that in the past may have been done a little more behind closed doors. They aren't really concerned with those sort of formalities and have no issue just being out in public with it.
Now the White House telling us that Elon Musk has committed to recusing himself from potential conflicts. But with him still running major companies like SpaceX, Tesla, and social media giant X, it sure seems like the revolving door is swinging wide open.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.